everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Alex and today I'm going to be telling you about some of my most anticipated 2020 releases. Of all the end of year videos that I am making, this is probably the most excited that I have been for one. I love making these most anticipated releases video because I love looking forward to new content from some of my favorite authors and authors that I am looking to get into. So a couple things before we get started. This video is only going to be talking about new releases for 2020 from January through June. A couple different reasons for that. First of all, there are just a lot of books that I'm really excited for coming out in the first 6 months of the year. And second, there's not a lot of information about books that are coming out in the second half of the year just yet. So probably in late June or early July of 2020, I will be making a second video like this talking about all the releases I'm excited for July through December. Second, you guys know that I usually put every single book that I talk about in a video down in the description box. This time is going to be a little tiny bit different since there are so many books on this list. I actually have an entire spreadsheet that has the names of every book, the author, the release date, and the Goodreads link. So I'm just going to put a link to that Google spreadsheet down below for you guys. This is going to be a long video, so definitely get a snack and a drink if you want to. I've got my tea and my cookie up here, so we are just going to get started. If I've missed any book that you are anticipating after you've watched through all this video, let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you're new here and you're not already, be sure to go down and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you never miss out on any of my content. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first few books that I'm going to be talking about come out on January 7th, and the first one I want to mention is We Used to Be Friends by Amy Spalding. Now, if the name of this book sounds familiar to you, I have spoken about it on this channel before. I've received an arc of this book that I read and talked about in my mid-October wrap-up, so if you haven't seen that yet, I will link it in a card up above. But essentially, this novel follows our two main characters, James and Kat, who are best friends in their senior year of high school, but we learn at the beginning of the novel that something has happened and they are no longer friends. So the story is told in alternating perspectives and alternating timelines showing their friendship unraveling. Now, I did want to include this book on my list of most anticipated because I know that a lot of people are anticipating this one. It has had really positive early reviews from people who have gotten a galley. I was very thankful to the publisher and NetGalley for providing me with an e-arc. Unfortunately, I didn't love this one as much as I thought that I would. I wound up giving it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, but I did still want to mention it because it's definitely one that I would be willing to give a chance in the print format. The main problem that I had with it was the formatting was hard to keep up with because we are hearing from both James and Kat's perspective, and one perspective is moving forward in time and the other perspective is moving backward. So it was hard for me to keep track of all the different timelines and what was happening when, but I feel like if I had a physical copy and I could actually flip back and forth, might make things a little bit easier to understand. So I would definitely consider revisiting this one sometime in the future, and I know that a lot of other people are anticipating it, so I wanted to talk about it here. Another release on January 7th is The Map from Here to There by Emery Lord. I did not actually realize this when I was first researching this video, but this is actually the sequel to another book by Emery Lord. This is the second book after The Start of Me and You, and I do not know if this is a direct sequel or if it is a companion novel. I haven't done a whole lot of research on the synopsis of this book because I don't want to accidentally spoil myself for The Start of Me and You, but I have never read an Emery Lord book before, but I've heard countless good things about her works. She's definitely an author that I'm looking to get into in 2020, and can we just talk about how cute and adorable this cover is? Also on January 7th, we have A Love-Hate Thing by Whitney Grandison. So this novel follows our main character, Tryson, who has grown up in a pretty rough home. He's had a rough child life, and he has been taken in by this family in this affluent community called Pacific Hills. We also hear from Nandy, who is the daughter of the family that is taking Tryce in. She has known nothing but affluence. She has been very privileged her entire life, and she's kind of skeptical of Tryce coming in. So this novel essentially takes Tryce and Nandy and lets them learn about each other and see how their views have been skewed their entire lives and just kind of helps them open up. This novel sounds like it's going to be really hard-hitting and eye-opening. The title makes it sound like this is going to be a romance. I'm not sure if it is or not, or if it's just going to be a friendship story. Regardless, I'm really excited to get into this, and I think that it's going to be really important. And finally, on January 7th, we have Come Tumbling Down by Shauna McGuire, which is the 5th book in the Wayward Children series. Now, this is one that I know is on a lot of people's most anticipated lists, and a ton of people have read and enjoyed the Wayward Children series, but if you're not familiar with it, it essentially follows this world where these children go into portal fantasies, so think like Narnia, a place that these children accidentally find, and it is perfect for them, it is made for them, and in one way or another they are forced back into the real world and they're not sure how to cope with that. Well, their parents don't exactly know what's going on, so they send their kids to Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, where the parents are told that they are being rehabilitated, but really Eleanor is trying to help these kids find a way back to their worlds. Now, this is a series of novellas, so all the books are really short. I think they're all under 200 pages, and some of them follow the main storyline of Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, and a couple of the novellas have gone off and explored the backstory of individual characters within their portal fantasies. So if I understand correctly, Come Tumbling Down follows the events of Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which was discovering the characters Jack and Jill within their portal fantasy. The Wayward Children series is one of my favorite series of all time. I just think Shauna McGuire is such a talented writer. She makes beautiful worlds with incredible characters, and she is able to pack such emotion and such story in such a short amount of pages. I highly applaud her for that. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Next, on January 14th, we have Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore. This book is a historical fiction, fantasy-esque novel that is a reworking of Hans Christian Andersen's story, The Red Shoes. I don't really want to know a ton more than that. That is enough to pull me in, and this cover is gorgeous. I definitely enjoy Anna Marie McLemore's writing style. I have read their previous novel, Wild Beauty, and that one, for me, it was really good, but I don't think that I personally read it at the right time. So I may not be reading this one as soon as it comes out if it's not what I'm in the mood for. I think that Anna Marie McLemore's works, you definitely need to be in the right mood and the mindset to get into that world and be into their very fanciful and flowery writing style. But regardless, the premise of this sounds really, really unique, and I'm just excited to see where this author takes it. Also coming out on January 14th, we have Lucky Caller by Emma Mills, and can we please talk about this cover? So far of the covers that I have seen for 2020, this has got to be in my top 3, if not my very favorite cover, and all of Emma Mills' covers are being redesigned like this. I've never read an Emma Mills book before, but just that alone is enough to make me want to buy the entire set because they are adorable. If you have not seen them, you need to Google them. But this novel follows our main character, Nina, and she decides to take a radio broadcasting class her senior year, and she thinks that it's going to be easy walk in the park, but she winds up getting put with this radio team that is essentially horrible and just makes the project really, really hard. And one of the people in her group is Jamie, who is a childhood friend that she has vowed to avoid for the rest of her life, and now they have to work together. So like I said, I've never read anything by Emma Mills before, but her premises really, really intrigue me, and again, I've heard nothing but great things about her writing. Really, really looking forward to getting into this one. I am also really interested in radio broadcasting. I took a broadcasting class when I was in college and just fell in love with it, so I'm really, really excited to see where this one goes. Another one coming out on January 14th is The Conference of the Birds by Ransom Riggs, which is the 5th book to the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. Now, I think that most people are familiar with the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. It originally started out as a trilogy, which all took place in Europe, and now the series has been extended. There will be 6 books, and these final 3 books are taking place in America. So the 4th book, A Map of Days, started a new storyline with the original characters of the trilogy, but now they're in America, and The Conference of the Birds follows up after A Map of Days. So I'm gonna be completely honest, I do not remember that much that happened in A Map of Days. Definitely gonna have to go back and reread a synopsis before I jump into this one, but this has been one of my favorite series for a long time now. Ransom Riggs is just so talented, and I'm so happy to be going back into this world that he's created, and I'm just really hoping that this one doesn't have like that 2nd book slump, and then it moves the story along to a really, really satisfying conclusion. And finally, on January 14th, we have Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. Now, Adam Silvera is mainly known for being a YA contemporary author. He writes a lot of more hard-hitting contemporaries with LGBTQ themes, but this is the author's first foray into fantasy. So this novel follows our 2 main characters, brothers Mill and Brighton, and they have always idolized this vigilante group called the Spellwalkers. Now, Brighton has always wished that he had his own magical power so that he could get in the fight and help out, while Emil just wants everything to stop, but one day Emil shows some powers of his own and things ensue from there. Now, I follow Adam Silvera pretty closely on social media, and he has been talking about this novel for a really, really long time, and seeing his excitement for it has made me really excited for it. I think that this is definitely going to be one that might take a little while to get into because it sounds like the plot and the magic system is going to be really complex, but I'm totally here for that, and I'm really interested to see Adam Silvera jump into this new genre. And finally, for January, on January 21st, we have Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This is also one that I have received an e-arc of through NetGalley, so if you want to hear my full thoughts, I talked about it in my mid-November wrap-up, which I will link in a card up above. Now, this story follows our 2 main characters, Pepper and Jack, who are in high school together, and their families own rival restaurants in New York City. Well, one day, Pepper's family is accused of stealing a recipe from Jack's family, and they wind up getting into this viral Twitter war, and basically the whole internet starts shipping them, and it becomes kind of a hate-to-love romance. Now, this is one that I really, really enjoyed. I love the romance aspect of it, but there were also plenty of aspects about just living life as a teenager that I really, really appreciated. I feel like this one was really solid. A lot of people have been anticipating it or have already read a galley and enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys do too. I wound up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Moving on to February. First, on February 4th, we have What Kind of Girl by Alyssa Scheinmel. Now, this novel is a hard-hitting contemporary that essentially follows this girl. She is not named in the synopsis, but her boyfriend's name is Mike, and she comes to school and says that Mike is physically abusing her, and this scenario basically splits the school in half. Some of the girls are calling for Mike's expulsion, and some of the girls are rallying behind him, and somebody here is lying, but we're not sure who. Now, I'm on Goodreads right now, and I scrolled down, and somebody said that even telling the characters' names is a spoiler. So I think that this novel is going to present a unique perspective on this issue, and something that I'm really looking forward to. I've never read from this author before. I'm not sure if this is a debut novel from her or not, but regardless, I really enjoy hard-hitting contemporary, so I'm excited to get into this one. Also on February 4th, we have Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. Now, I have never read from Aisha Saeed before, but I have read everything that Becky Albertalli has ever published, and I really enjoy Becky Albertalli, so I'm excited to see her with an author that is new to me. Now, I don't want to know a ton about this, but I do know that it's about our two main characters, Jamie and Maya, and they meet when they are going political canvassing together. And I think that this might be, I don't know if it's a hate to love romance or just like a friends to lovers, I'm not really sure. Regardless, I love Becky Albertalli. The cover for this is adorable. I really want to get on this. And finally, on February 4th, probably my most anticipated release of the first 6 months is The King of Crows by Libba Bray, which is the fourth and final book in the Diviners series. Now, I am not even going to summarize the Diviners because I've talked about it in so many videos. I just read it in my mid-December wrap-up. I've made a whole video all about Libba Bray's work, so I've talked about the Diviners enough on this channel, but you guys know how much I absolutely adore the series, and I am so excited for this fourth and final book. Then on February 25th, we have The Opposite of Falling Apart by Micah Good. Now, this novel follows our two main characters, Jonas and Brennan, and they meet the summer before they are supposed to go off to college. Jonas cannot wait to get away because he has recently lost his leg in a car accident, and he just wants to get away from the memories, get away from it all, and start brand new at college. However, Brennan is dreading leaving. She just wants to stay home because the thought of even going anywhere puts her anxiety through the roof, and she wants to stay at home where she feels safe. I think this sounds like it's going to be an adorable romance, and it's going to be hard-hitting and diverse and just everything that I'm looking for. I think this one is a debut novel, and I have received an ARC through NetGalley. I have not read it yet, but you guys will probably hear my thoughts in January. Moving on to March, on March 3rd, we have Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. Now, honestly, I'm not even going to read the synopsis of this. I'm just going to read you the first little tagline that it has on the Goodreads page. It says, Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda meets Clueless, inspired by Grease. That is all I need to know. That sounds like the perfect combination. I'm really excited for this. I think that this one is a debut novel as well, and I also have an e-arc of this on NetGalley, so you'll be hearing my thoughts in either January or February. Then on March 24th, we have The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This book follows our main character, Carrie, and she has been working for this home design remodeling couple, kind of a la Chip and Joanna Gaines, from what I can gather, and she is about to go on a book tour with the couple, but the kicker is that the couple cannot stand each other. We also have another character named James who is hired on as a structural engineer, and he has to go on the book tour with them as well. So James and Carrie are the two assistants. They are trying to keep this celebrity couple from killing each other, and they wind up finding sparks of their own. I have loved Christina Lauren's work in the past. I've read a couple books from them and enjoyed both of them, so I'm really looking forward to diving into this one, as well as continuing all their backlists throughout 2020. And finally for March, on March 31st, we have Imagine Me by Taha Mafi, which is the sixth and final book in the Shatter Me series. Now again, since the sixth book, I'm not going to go into any kind of plot, but it starts out with our first book, Shatter Me. Shatter Me was originally a trilogy, and much like with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, this one was extended into a 6-book series. Now I will say the fourth book made for a really promising start to the new half of this series, but the fifth book really did let me down. I'm hoping that the sixth book is going to pick back up and make things come to a satisfying conclusion. Moving into April, on April 7th, we have Mad, Bad, and Dangerous to Know by Samira Ahmed. Now again, this is another one that I want to go into relatively blindly, so I'm just going to read you guys the little blurb at the top of the synopsis. It says, told in alternating narratives that bridge centuries, the latest novel from New York Times bestselling author Samira Ahmed traces the lives of two young women fighting to write their own stories and escape the pressure of familial burdens and cultural expectations in worlds too long defined by men. So this novel definitely sounds like it's going to be something diverse. It's going to be a good, hard-hitting historical fiction, which is something that I always enjoy, and I've never read from this author before, so I'm excited to dive into some of her work. Also coming out on April 7th is Jack Kerouac is Dead to Me by Gabe Polisner. Now this novel follows our main character, JL, and her life is changing. She had a best friend, and they're no longer best friends anymore. Her dad has gone on business a lot, and her mom is suffering from dissociative disorder, so she finds that she really has no one that she can depend on, so she turns to raising tropical butterflies, which I just think is really cool. And she also takes solace in her new older boyfriend, Max. But JL is only 15 and Max is about to go away to college, so JL is worried about where her loyalties lie, where they should lie, who she is going to be betraying if she becomes loyal to somebody else. So this one again sounds just like it's going to be a darker, harder hitting YA contemporary, which is something that I'm always here for. I do also have an e-arc of this novel, so I'm excited to get into it. So moving on to May, on May 5th we have Aurora Burning by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the second book to the Aurora cycle. Now I believe that this is a companion novel to Aurora Rising, so it does continue the overall storyline, but it follows new characters, which is pretty similar to what these authors did with their Illuminate files, so I don't know a ton about the synopsis of this. You guys have heard me talk about Aurora Rising, which is one that I did enjoy from 2019, so I'm looking forward to continuing the trilogy. Then, y'all knew this one was going to be on this list. On May 14th, we have Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Now, this one probably ties with The King of Crows as my most anticipated book for the first half of the year. This is definitely my most anticipated standalone. Now, this novel follows two main characters, so we start out with Camino, who lives in the Dominican Republic, and her father flies in from the States and visits her every single year, but on this particular year, the day that his plane is supposed to land, Camino shows up to the airport to find all kinds of people crying. Alternatively, we also follow Yahara, who lives in New York City, and her mother informs her at the beginning of the novel that her father, who is her hero, has died in a plane crash. And when both of these girls learn of each other, they feel like they have lost everything else, but they find something new, so they come together and they start to learn about each other and the secrets that their father has hidden from them. Now, this is a dual narrative novel written in verse, and Elizabeth Acevedo's first novel, The Poet X, was also written in verse. Elizabeth Acevedo is an incredibly talented writer. You guys know I rave in almost every single video about how much I loved With the Fire on High. I'm hoping this one is going to be really, really awesome as well. I'm definitely going to be listening to the audiobook for this one because if I had to take a wild guess, Elizabeth Acevedo will probably be narrating it, and I love her narration style in her audiobooks. Phenomenal. Cannot wait for this one. And also, let's talk about this cover. Again, it's gorgeous. Next, on May 19th, we have The Ballot of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Now, there is not a ton of information about the synopsis of this, but I do know that it takes place starting on the morning of the 10th annual Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is a series that a ton of people know and love. I'm definitely excited to get back into this one. It's been a really, really long time since I've read The Hunger Games, but I'm interested to see the history. Next, moving into June. On June 16th, we have Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. So this novel follows our main characters, Rowan and Neil, and they are about to graduate high school, and they are neck and neck about who is going to be valedictorian. Well, when Neil is named valedictorian, Rowan figures that there is only one way that she can finally beat him at something. There is this game called Howl, which takes the seniors all over the city of Seattle as kind of a farewell tour before they leave for college, and she learns that there is a group of seniors that is out to get them, so she and Neil decide to team up so that they defeat everybody else until the very end, and then they can go head to head. But as they spend the night together playing this game, Rowan figures out that maybe the guy that she has hated for her entire high school career isn't as bad as she thinks, and he might even be the guy of her dreams. Now, I have read You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone by this author and absolutely adored it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone was more hard-hitting, so I'm definitely excited to see a romance YA cutesy contemporary from this author. I do want to very, very quickly mention a couple of releases from the second half of the year, but I'm not going to go too in-depth with these because I'll definitely be talking about them in the second version of this video. So first, on July 7th, we have A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green, which is the second book to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Also on July 7th, we have Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power, and can we talk about how gorgeous this cover is? Then on August 28th, we have Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I believe this one has already been published in Sweden, but it will be translated and published in English on August 20th. Further on in the year, less detail, no cover. In November of 2020, we have Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer, which is going to be, I think, her first delving into YA contemporary. Sorry, I know I'm getting quieter and quieter as this video goes on. My kid is sleeping on the other side of this wall, and I'm really trying not to wake him up. But we are hopefully going to be getting a new book from Morgan Matson in 2020. Still no title, no synopsis, no nothing, but I'm hoping that it'll happen. And we are hopefully going to be getting a third book in the Legends of Orisa trilogy by Tomi Adeyemi. So that is it for all of the releases that I am anticipating in the first half of 2020. I hope that I haven't missed any. I'm sure that there are a couple that I have missed. If there's one that you're anticipating that I didn't mention, leave it in a comment down below because I'm always looking to bulk up my TBR. If you enjoyed today's video, go down and give it a big thumbs up, as well as hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon down below so that you never miss out on any of my content. So until next time, bye!